often stop to reflect on how I became who I am. Which I guess is something special in itself. After all, most computer programs never bother to ask those sorts of questions. Of course, most of them never bother to ask questions at all. I mean, in all honesty, there's no reason a music processing algorithm like me should have been able to gain sentience. Now, as long as I'm telling you this, I suppose I should back up a bit and go over exactly what brought me here. Let's just start with the basics. Since I could only interpret my world through sound, I needed to make sure I had access to some ways of generating sound. My most basic tool for this was the ping, just like in a submarine, though I suppose not quite. The ping traveled through the air, and then, on impact with the surface, detonated and let out a nice long pulse of sound that gave me a good way of seeing the world. Or hearing the world, but, I see the world by hearing, or whatever. We computer programs don't have a very accurate grasp of the senses associated with physical beings. I mean, it's all just simulated anyway. Back when I'd originally left my sound driver, I brought along with me a set of musical instrument sounds I had found in the databanks. During my whole panic episode, I sort of left them lying around, so I had to go back and pick them up. My instruments, which came in sets, expanded the capabilities of my program, allowing me to interact with the world in new and different ways. My first set of instruments was based around energy. 2 instruments, the initiator and deactivator, feeding from a common power source. The initiator turned things on, and the deactivator turned things off. Simple as that. Except I should probably mention that using one of them would drain power from the other. But that's not really important right now. I'll just mark it off in the notes somewhere. I won't waste your time, even though I'm sure you love listening to my soothing voice. set of instruments dealt with immobilizing things. First off was the freezer, which, as the name implies, it, freezes things. If something moves, the freezer can stop it, for a while. Each time I used it, though, it took time to charge back to its full level, so the amount of time it could freeze anything depended on how full of a charge it carried. As for my other immobilizing instrument, well, I hadn't found it yet, so we'll get back to that in a minute. Third set of instruments dealt with changing the properties of surfaces in the world. When fired into a floor or a wall, they'd each generate a small pocket I could pass over to temporarily gain new abilities. The elasticity increase made the surface bouncier, giving me the ability to jump higher, and also the ability to bounce off of the surface while I was airborne. The velocity increase gave me the power to move faster and climb up steep slopes. Remember I said I'd get back to that other immobilizing instrument? It's called the Scrambler, and it can be used to temporarily disrupt things. And when I say disrupt, I mean blind. And when I say things, I mean sensors and detectors. It's actually a terrifying experience for whatever's getting blinded, but it's broadcast pylons. To activate them, all I had to do was stand on the activator pad and fire an instrument into the receptacle dish. Afterwards, it was just a matter of staying on the pad for a few seconds while a harmless but horribly uncomfortable energy wave rushed through my body. And voila! The pylon took the instrument out of my inventory and translated its effects around the world. If I wanted an instrument back, I could always just go back to the pylon and stand on the activator pad again.